everyone. Here is another week of Ask Ron with Mr. Ron LeGrand himself. How are you doing today, Ron?
I'm outstanding. We're sitting out here in this gorgeous weather in Jacksonville, Florida, in one of our office buildings here, enjoying the 65-degree temperature and clear skies.
Awesome. Okay, well, are you ready for your first question?
I guess so.
Okay, our first one's from Fernando Diaz of Connecticut.
Fernando?
I have a lease option with seller. The purchase price is $750,000.
Okay.
On a two-family multifamily, rent is $1,800. Sorry. I have a few tenant buyer prospects for the $750,000, $2,200 a month, and a $30,000 option fee. Seller tells me he changed his mind because of his wife. If I cannot change the seller's mind, should I try to enforce in a small claim court?
What are you going to enforce, Fernando? If the seller doesn't buy or doesn't want to buy, what are you going to do about it? You can't make a buyer buy. So I don't know what you're talking about unless you've already got the $30,000 and then they're trying to back out, which you didn't tell us, then that's a different story. And if that's the case, yeah, absolutely. You need to get your attorney involved if they want to challenge you on it. But I assume you got all the paperwork that I taught you to have in place when you did that. So it's the best answer I can give you, not knowing any more than that.
Alrighty. Okay, our next one's from Tim Barnes of New York.
Hello, Tim.
Ron, is it true that taking a property subject to with loans of a line of credit or a reverse mortgage will trigger the due on sales?
Most likely, because when the bank finds out, they probably will call that loan due. So if you're going to do that, make sure you got a short-term exit strategy to get your buyer cashed out before they call it due. Even if they call it due, it'll take them months to foreclose on it, but just the same, that's not a long-term deal regardless.
Okay. Next one's from Jack Hall.
Jack?
Of North Carolina. I have an existing LLC which I would like to transfer into my Roth IRA.
Can't do that, Jack. Can't do that. You cannot put any assets you own in your IRA except cash up to $6,000 a year. So that won't work. Your IRA needs to form a new LLC, and then that LLC can do all the business for your IRA.
Okay.
By the way, the operating agreement is on your Gold Club site, clearly marked.
Billy Smith.
Billy?
Okay, of Florida. What will happen if a lease option seller files bankruptcy and the home is included in it? And to avoid this situation in advance, how can we convince the seller to put their home in a land trust before we even get started?
Okay, so are you telling me you're worried about the seller filing bankruptcy after they sell you the house? If there's any indication they're going to do that, I wouldn't buy it if they don't put it into a land trust. But even then, if they name it in the bankruptcy, then nothing. You just wait it out because they're not going to force sale of it. The seller's not getting any money. The bankruptcy trustee has no reason to do anything about it. So if your tenant is not ready to buy, then there's no rush. Just wait till the bankruptcy's over and let the tenant buyer buy. But I think you said if the tenant buyer files bankruptcy, if I'm not mistaken. So if that's the case, you're going to have to see your attorney, because what you're going to do from there is going to be up to your attorney. That doesn't mean that they're going to get their money back, but it may mean or may not mean that they don't have to pay rent while they're in bankruptcy. So check with your attorney on that one. I better not answer that one because it might be wrong for your state.
Okay. His next question is, since we all know that the sandwich lease option is designed to give us investors 3 nice paydays, then why would we ever want to assign it back to the seller?
Because we don't have those paydays. If I assign it back to the seller, I got no equity left, I got no monthly cash flow left, and it's just not worth me messing with. That's the only reason I would sign it back to the seller. Because if I'm getting the goodies, I'll keep it.
Okay. And his last question for him is, which types of creative financing are used when the deed stays in the seller's name, and which types are used when the deed does not stay in the
If the deed stays in the seller's name and they're selling it to you, it's a land contract device, which has many names. It seems like one for each state. Land contract, contract for deed, land installment contract, and agreement for deed, and so forth. The deed stays in the seller's name until you pay it off, and then they transfer it to the buyer. Any other way they sell it with owner financing, the deed transfers out of their name the day they close the sale.
Okay.
That's it?
No, nope, not yet. We got a couple more. Our next one is Ted Copeland of Illinois. He gives us a scenario. Tenant buyer tenant/buyer puts down X amount of dollars for a non-refundable deposit,
Right.
and they live in the house for 1 year, then stop paying the monthly lease.
Okay.
They are in default.
Yes.
They trash the place or will not leave in a timely fashion. Since we are told to tell the seller during the original sales process that we will take care of their monthly payments and or mortgage.
Yes, you have to make the monthly payment. Sorry. You should have put some money aside when you put them in there to begin with to account for that. But hey, it's not the seller's fault your tenant is moving out. It's your responsibility to make that payment. And you find a way to get it done so you get another tenant buyer in there and recapture that money.
Okay. I think you pretty much answered.
That's not the answer you wanted, though.
No, probably not.
Okay. All right, look. Next week, I'll be back here next week. I'm about to go back. I gotta go down and teach the. In fact, by the time you get this, I'll be teaching the Mastering the Phone event this week here in Jacksonville, and we kind of full house. So anyway, get to work and get the questions coming in here, and I'll see you next week. Same time, same channel.